Good morning and welcome to Fast Horses Today. Today is Friday. It is February 28th, so end of the month, the start of the race week at Santa Anita. And many years ago here in Chicago, this would be the start of the race season over at Sportsman's Park. It would usually open right around this time, and you'd hope for some nice weather. And boy, it's beautiful today here in Chicago. It would have been a nice thing to have a opening day at Sportsman's Park. You know, back in those days, I used to look forward to taking two buses and a train to get to Sportsman's Park. What a dedicated person I was to that sport. So anyway, we'll fast forward here to 2025, and Sportsman's Park is no longer, hasn't been for a long time, and we're betting at Santa Anita. So I'm going to skip over the first few races over at Santa Anita, and I'm going to go with in the fifth race. I've got a late pick 5, as well as I got a win bet over at Santa Anita too. And the late pick 5 starts in the fifth race, has an approximate post time of 2:35 there Pacific time, so 4:35 here in the Central Time Zone. And a reminder here, I usually say it towards the end of the show, but I'll say it in the beginning. I center the show around the pick 5, usually the late pick 5 over at Santa Anita. But most importantly is, you could play that pick 5, but just remember, you could really have good days by playing pick 3s within that, or that late pick 3. So, I know over the last few weeks, I've had a couple nice days without hitting the pick 5, but, hitting that pick 3, that $3 pick 3, or the late double, or even the turf pick 3. Those payoffs certainly can be day makers for you. But anyway, you do what works for you. So we're going to start here in the fifth race, Santa Anita. That's a first level allowance race for California breds. And these are 3-year-olds. So these are 3-year-olds only. They're going a mile on the turf. And I've got 2 horses here, including a win bet. I'm going to go against the favorite. Favorite being, program favorite is I'm a Bad Boy, 2-1. That's a 3-horse. I feel like that horse is going to get bet down a little further than that. Going to go against that horse today. I'm going to start out with the 5, Drop 'em. Drop 'em for Felix Rondon, and he puts Castellanos on the horse here today. Now, I like the way this horse ran in the Cal Cup Derby, over on Cal Cup Day, and, had Mike Smith on him that day. I thought the horse ran with a lot of energy, and in looking at his film, this horse has run nicely in his previous races up north, and I just, seems like to me this horse just has a lot of energy and runs very nicely. They go back to Castellanos on the horse. He's ridden this horse twice, both wins. Now, I don't know that, I'm not too sure what this guy's doing over there in Southern California. He's been kind of had a tough start to the meet, Castellanos. But, he's won a couple races. I know he knows this horse. They're making a couple changes here. It's first Lasix. They're putting blinkers on. So I'm wondering if they're going to, send this horse and go, which I think would be a good idea. This horse has certainly shown speed in the past. And I think sending him and going might make it easier on him. But, if for some reason the 3 gets out, the 5 Drop 'em certainly has done well with a stalk and pounce trip. So either way, I think this horse looks live today. He's 5-2. I'm going to guess, you'll get all of that and maybe a little more on that horse. But I'm going to make a win bet on Drop 'em. That's the 5 horse. And then for pick 5 purposes, I'm going to put the 5 as well as I'm going to put the 6, who is no poking around, for Bob Hess, Umberto Rispoli. So this horse by Sir Prancelot, certainly we know they do turf, they do sprints, and routes. So this horse broke his maiden last time in a Cal special weight on the turf at a mile. So we know this horse likes the turf, likes the distance, can certainly duplicate that. Where some of these other horses, haven't really done anything on the turf, including, Drop 'em. But I feel like Drop 'em can certainly run on the grass. But we've got the 5 and the 6 to start off the pick 5, as well as a win bet on the 5, Drop 'em. So let's move over to the next race of the day. Next race being the 6th race. This is one of the Northern California style races. This is a maiden 8,000 claimer, 5.5 on the dirt. And, these are your just your bottom rung maidens there, and they run these horses. They're tailored towards the Northern California folks, so they can get a chance to run and collect some purse money. I've got 3 horses I'm going to put in. I'm including the favorite. I'm going to put the 4, who is Charlie Neal, Dan Marco, Kyle Frey. Now, Marco's run a couple horses at Santa Anita, having a win in a second, so pretty good record there. He claimed this horse back in the fall off of Steve Miotti when they ran up north at Pleasanton. And, that horse had some trouble that day. and just kind of ran an even race. And Marco claimed him that day. He's putting him in for 8, so dropping the horse a bit. Couple changes here. They're taking the blinkers off and they're adding Lasix. Kyle Frey certainly has done well with these kind of races and has beaten these guys, his former compadres from up north. So 12-1, we'll give Charlie Neal a shot. I'm going to also put the 7, who is Teddy Pantages. Jesus Ramos is the trainer here, and Edgar Payeras. This horse has had a couple starts, one up north and then one is last running at Santa Anita. The horse broke from the rail that day. Didn't, break out great, but, kind of moved up and made a nice middle move, which, showed me that this horse does have some run. So I'm wondering if, better start maybe from the outside. Pierre is certainly a capable jock. He wins a lot of races, over at Los Alamitos, and he does occasionally get a winner here or there at Santa Anita as well. He's 6-1. We'll put in Teddy Pantages. And then also the 8 horse going to put in. That's the program favorite at 7-2, Empress Lorraine. Empress Lorraine taking on the boys today. And Steve Sherman, no trainer. Ayuso takes the call. Ayuso's been riding exceptionally well over at Santa Anita, winning all kind of races. So Steve Sherman sees fit to put this horse in. Having been off a layoff, we haven't seen her since early December over at Pleasanton. This is a Minnesota bred, so you got to wonder, maybe some of the Minnesota folks might be watching this one, and this might be a worthwhile claim to take over to Minnesota in the summer. But 7-2, she certainly run with better fillies, having run, here in Southern California in the 32,000 ranks last summer and fall, and, just running some even races. So the drop in class will make her much faster. We'll put Empress Lorraine in there. So that's the 4, the 7, and the 8. All right, let's move over to the next race of the day. Next race being the 7th. 7th race is a $50,000 claimer, and these are 3-year-olds, fillies. This is 6 furlongs on the flat grass. And I've got 3 horses here in this race, including a horse on the also eligible list that I'm hoping gets in here. I'm going to put the 1 who is Lilliput for Tim Yakteen, and Ayuso takes the call, putting blinkers on today. Ayuso gets the call. Last time this horse had the Apprentice Americano on him, so I think it's an improvement with Ayuso. Only concern here is Yakteen had this horse one time, ran her in special weights, and now dropping the 50. So I don't know if that's a panic drop or they just got realistic and want to win a race here. So they're putting blinkers on, and 5-1. I still see if he'll figure out a trip. Lilliput could be a factor here. I'm going to also put the 5 horse, who was Molly Jensen, Mark Glatt, and Ricardo Gonzalez. This horse had a couple starts. Gonzalez has ridden this horse both times. First was in one of those condition claimers based on your auction price. A little bit, certainly better than what she's running here today. Ran an even race that day. Then they put her on the turf in a 50,000 claim, so ran at this level. I thought she ran a really nice race, running second to Prime and Ready. Prime and Ready was absolutely just that, Prime and Ready to win that race, and was probably too good for that claiming field. Ended up coming back and winning another race. So Prime and Ready, certainly a nice horse in and around this level. So Molly Jensen coming second to that horse. Certainly no shame there. We'll put her in at 7-2. And then finally, I'm going to put the 9 horse, who is Lee's Baby Girl. Lee's Baby Girl is on the also eligible list, so we're going to see if Lee's Baby Girl draws in for Doug O'Neill and Tonio Fresu. This horse comes off a run last week, so O'Neill brings this horse back in a week. I love that move. No problems there. I don't think there's a problem. Certainly good trainers know what to do. The horse is feeling good. He's putting her right back in here. Now, this horse, I mean, here I'm speaking nicely of her. She cost me a big day last week. I ended up putting her in a race. She ended up running for 80,000 at a mile, and ended up putting her in at the expense of putting in the horse that ended up winning a TIA. And that horse ended up winning that day, and costing me a pretty big day. So that was a shame. But I have myself to blame there. But I think Lee's Baby Girl here, dropping into 50, putting the blinkers on, moving to a sprint. She's 2-1 in the program here. I'm hoping she draws in. If so, she's going to be very tough here. She's just run with better. And, looks like the O'Neill barn's just getting realistic. They did drop her in for 80 last week. She ran okay again. We'll put her in for 50. She should be that much faster. A week turnaround. Love that move. Hopefully Lee's Baby Girl draws in. So we're going to have the 1, the 5, and the 9 here in the 7th race. All right, let's move over to the 8th race of the day. 8th race is a mile in the dirt. This is a first level allowance race, open company for fillies and mares 4 years old and up. And, we've got a big favorite in the program, but honestly, I don't see it as just that horse, singling. I'm going to put 4 horses in this race because this race just really kind of baffles me here. I'm going to put the 1 horse who is Shared Future from Mark Reinford, and Aguilar takes the call. Now, it looks like Reinford's, training on his own now. I know he was an assistant to Miotti at one time, so Reinford's got some horses there. He's run five horses, a win, a second, and 3/3, so all his horses are pretty live. She ran a nice race last time at this level, ended up running third, to a couple nice horses, and she's won at this level at Santa Anita. So that's why I feel like this race is not as simple as the program favorite, because you've got some horses that are dropping into this, into this allowance race. Like a horse like Shared Future. She's in because they're putting her in for 50 because she's won at this level at some point in her career, and so I'm going to put her in at 4-1. I am going to put the 3, who is Jubilant Joni, who is the program favorite for Jeff Mullins. 7-5 in the program. Edwin Maldonado on the horse. Now this horse has just been sharp as a tack. They brought this horse over to Southern California. It was the Robertino Diodoro barn, via Sean Williams. And Sean Williams brings this horse in for $8,000, to open her California career. She got claimed promptly out of that race. Got put up for 20, and Mullins claimed her for 20. So Mullins has definitely made a good claim here, having won 3 or 4 starts after, acquiring her. Now, she's run with lesser, in her last 3 races. They're all wins, but, it's all starter allowance, and a couple of those are those Northern California style races. So we're going to see how those translate to an allowance race. I mean, she does show an allowance race at Santa Anita, coming second that day to Cavalieri. And Cavalieri, I know, is a Baffert horse, if I'm not mistaken, who's a nice horse. So, Jubilant Joni, I certainly see why she's 7-5. But we're going to see, maybe the rise in class against a couple, battle-tested mares. We'll see what happens here. So we'll put her in there. Going to put the 4, who is Yuki. Yuki for Marcelo Polanco and Ayuso. Now, Yuki is 8-1 today, so she's a long shot, but Yuki's a fast horse. I mean, I caught Yuki. Yuki made a big day for me back in 2023. I was very fortunate to have her that day. She took a nice allowance field coast to coast at Del Mar at a big price. And, Yuki's very fast. I could see this horse just getting out in the lead, and you never know. I mean, she's had some back class, in her pocket, and she certainly won at this distance and won at this level as well. So she's in for 50. So we're going to see if Yuki might be live today. I think it's just, Ayuso, send her and go. And, the way he's riding, you really can't count him out. I'm going to put finally the 6, who is Lisa's Nono from Mark Glatt, Antonio Fresu. Now, this is a horse that's been, just knocking around at this very level, at the mile distance, and just running some even races. She's run with some nice horses. Last spring, she ended up coming second to Sugarfish. Sugarfish, graded stakes winner in Southern California. She ran a nice race, getting beat on the wire by Sugarfish. So, Glatt brings her off a long layoff. We haven't seen her since last June. She's worked out, nicely, and Glatt does all right off these layoffs. So we'll put her in at 3-1. Antonio Fresu takes the call. He's been on her quite a few times. So for pick 5 purposes, we've got the 1, 3, 4, and 6. All right, now let's go to the last race of the day. Last race being the 9th race. This is a mile on the grass. This is a maiden special weight race, open company for 3-year-olds, and nice race. Some nice horses here. I've got 2 horses, but I certainly can see why people might single the favorite. The 1 horse is the favorite. That's Muscled for Patrick Gallagher and Umberto Rispoli, riding for the Eclipse Thoroughbred folks. Now, this horse's last 2 races, he's run some nice races coming second to some nice horses. He ended up getting beat by Charlie's to Blame. And we saw Charlie's to Blame go over to Gulfstream and win a nice stakes race back about, a few weeks back. So running second to Charlie's to Blame, very nice there. And then follow that up with a run second to Scipio. And Scipio ended up, beating this horse in the maiden race. Very nice race, Muscled ran. And we saw Scipio win the Baffle Stakes a couple weeks back. And, that's a very nice horse too. So, just based on those 2, Muscled is certainly run nice races. I don't feel like this horse, 4 starts, 2 seconds. I don't feel like this is a second-itis horse yet. We're going to give this horse a shot. He's certainly run, 2 very nice races. Today should be graduation day for him. Getting the 1 hole, Rispoli, can work out a nice trip, and the horse does show a nice finish. So we'll put Muscled in. I'm going to, just as a price, I'm going to put the 3 horse, Coco San, for Mark Glatt. Mark Glatt puts Kent DeSormo up on this horse, and they don't really pair up all too often, but looks like they've paired up a few times over the last year, and DeSormo's won 1 of 3. So this horse has had 2 starts in his lifetime. First was a sprint race on opening day. I thought the horse ran a very nice race on opening day at Santa Anita. Ended up coming 4th to Madaket Road, and usually that opening day maiden race has some nice horses in there. They they have a nice field usually that day on opening day. So I thought the horse ran a nice race as a first time sprinter. They put this horse on the grass next time, and I thought again the horse ran a nice even race, 6.5 on the grass. That was the flat grass. Making me think this horse may want to run a little longer. So I think Coco-san 6-1. I could see Kent DeSormo getting this horse out there and going. And, when DeSormo's on, it's very, very difficult to beat him. As we've seen, he's won some races recently. So I'm hoping Kent DeSormo shows up to the track with the mood to win. So Coco-san could, get the lead and who knows, take him to coast. So I've got the 1 and the 3 here in the last race. All right, now let's recap the day and recap the tickets. Okay, so today for Friday, February 28th, we've got a late pick 5. And we've got a win bet over at Santa Anita. So we're starting the late pick 5 in the 5th race. We've got the 5-6. And the win bet on the 5. With the 4-7-8. With the 1-5-9. With the 1-3-4-6. With the 1 and 3 at the end. Now that pick 5 ticket is a $72 play, and then the win bet on the 5 in the 5th race. So, as always, if you see fit, you can play as is, add or subtract, you do what fits you. If you want to play the pick 3s within it, play the pick 4, play that late pick 3, $3 pick 3, or the turf pick 3. Whatever you decide to do, I wish you the best of luck. Let's wish the folks over at Santa Anita a great safe day of racing today, and let's hope we get some nice trips and some good luck for ourselves here. So as always, I thank you for watching Fast Horses today. Please do me a favor, hit the subscribe button. Doesn't cost you anything, it just puts you on the feed, so when content gets created, it gets served up to you. You can like, dislike, make comments. I promise to respond to everything. Let's create a discussion. That would be wonderful. So as always, thank you so much for watching Fast Horses today. Let's have a great day at Santa Anita and start the week off strongly. And we will be back tomorrow with coverage from Santa Anita on Saturday for Big Cap Day, which should be a big day there at Santa Anita, the great race place. We'll see you back tomorrow.